A very long time ago, I had put out a video and I basically said that we have no excuse to be ignorant now. It is not like information is hard to get a hold of these days. And people didn't like that video. They didn't like getting told this. Well, some of the reactions to the latest presidential debate the other night uh, kind of reinforced my stance. And I thought I would read some of these tweets because, oh my gosh. In case you don't know, President Donald Trump, mentioned coyotes and cartels. He was not talking about the wild dog. For those of you who don't know, now's your chance to learn. A coyote is a person who will smuggle people over the border, usually for a high fee. These people that pay money to get over the border don't always make it. There are things called rape trees out there in the desert where the coyotes will rape the girls that they have carried and hang their underwear up in the tree. And oftentimes they will leave the people out there to die. And you can't just walk across those miles in that desert and make it to the border. There are real coyotes out there, and I can tell you, as somebody who has been surrounded by a hunting coyote pack, not only is that freaking scary, you aren't getting out of that. There aren't exactly any tall trees to climb or anything. So that's the kind of coyote that President Trump was mentioning. The responses. I'm gonna read some. God bless their ignorant little souls. But they are what I was talking about with my video all those years ago about how it is your fault if you don't know in this day and age. I mean, you can't know everything, but sometimes it doesn't hurt to crack a book. Okay, so this one. Did real Donald Trump just say 545 kids they can't find their parents for came over through cartels and coyotes? How the hell does a coyote bring a whole human across the border? Lord, stop talking. Here's why it's so funny. The trolling, the responses. For example, this person's response. I mean, an average coyote can handle 2 small ones on its back and another in its mouth, and they travel in packs. 50 healthy coyotes could do this over the course of a week pretty easily. Oh my God. And another one I saw yesterday. Somebody posted a picture of some seal cows, which are female seals lying on the beach. You know how they look over their shoulder at you coquettishly, claiming that they were Navy SEALs. And another posted a bag of ice and said how crazy it was that President Trump expected this bag of ice to stop the illegal immigrants from getting into the country. Come on, guys. You know, this is what I was talking about. But I think the best way to sum up this brief little thing is an article at lawenforcementtoday.com. And I'm not going to read the whole thing. The headline says, Twitter explodes after president talks about coyotes smuggling kids into USA. They envisioned animals. This is an article written by Mitch McKinley, dated October 23rd. Nashville, Tennessee, in the final presidential debate, the topic turned to border policy and kids in cages. Debate moderator Kirsten Welker posed the following question to President Trump. The United States cannot locate the parents of more than 500 children, so how will these families ever be reunited? And he responded, children are brought here by coyotes and lots of bad people, cartels. It was at this point that the Twitter sphere lost its mind. So many people, most of whom have blue checks by their names, took the time to tweet about coyotes, not in the context that the president was referencing, but to ask, how the hell does a coyote bring a whole human across the border? And so then the article goes into that tweet that I just read. You know, according to the article, there were other tweets like this one. This one was done by David Hogg. Wow. Imagine calling the immigrant parents that bring their children to the United States for a better life, coyotes. The level of xenophobia is sickening. Dan Crenshaw responded, you can't possibly be this uninformed. Another person just said, people are brought here by coyotes, and did a squiggly face. Another one, please explain children are brought here by coyotes to me. I'm certain that's not literal. Well, at least that person had some sense to think it through. Another person, oh my word, what children are brought here by coyotes, you loon? Of course, this person deleted their tweet and then stated that they figured out what the term meant, which is the whole point to learning, and I have to applaud them. They now know what it means. Yes, somebody learned something. Another one, holy shit, coyotes are bringing children to America? He has said some crazy shit. This is beyond insane. The night is still young. So then the article asks a very important question. How is it that the left is so uneducated when it comes to immigration and human trafficking? Now, people in various places were calling it willful ignorance. And part of the reason why they're uneducated is because they haven't stepped out of their little sphere, let's face it. They haven't stepped out of their bubble. They don't want to read the other side. They don't want to listen to the other side. And their side just hasn't been talking about the issue, let's face it. In some cases, they just haven't come across the situation. I mean, I had to look it up myself. I've never met a coyote. I'm not near the border. So I looked up the meaning and I learned that this was what it was. And it was like, oh, okay. Which was great because I was watching a TV show that referenced them and I couldn't understand it. And then there's also the fact, our schools. Now, schools don't normally talk about immigration normally, and perhaps it should be that way. But, oh gosh, at least 10 years ago, I said to one of my good friends, two of my good friends, actually, the one that's passed and another one, that they were dumbing down the curriculum in schools on purpose and, you know, because they felt like an ignorant population was a controllable population. And there were documents I had at the time, right at the time, that backed it up, statements that I wouldn't be able to, I'd have to like hunt for you now. So don't take my word on that. Just look it up for yourself. And if you find it, I applaud you again. But at the time, that's how I felt. So that's the point. That's how I was feeling. At least 10 years later, I'm like, you see, and I noticed about 2-3 years ago, actually before Trump was elected, that the ignorant population was proving to be really difficult to control. So they started like trying to beef up education again. It's like, surprise. It's really just a big mess, really. This willful ignorance, but that's how it's in a lot of their cases. They it's not even completely their fault. They're young. It's just something they haven't had the chance to experience yet. And God bless them if they've lived a good life enough that it's not something that's been a part of their daily life. The part that you have to blink at is how they're, as the article puts it, or is it that they actively applaud and encourage it, making them complicit with the problem, end quote. It's how they immediately jumped on the Orange Mad Bad Trump train and was talking about how crazy he was for saying this. If they weren't so blocked by their hatred that places like the media, not just the media, but the media has fueled and stoked and planted, they wouldn't be so ignorant. And that's kind of sad, really. It's just so very sad. So, according to the Federalist in this article, pointing to an NPR report, the report claims that the parents of 545 children still can't be found, but that's not quite right. That NPR report omitted a statement issued by Department of Homeland Security spokesman Chase Jennings, explaining that, in fact, the vast majority of these parents have been found but have refused reunification with their children, which is why the children are still in DHS custody. Wow. See, I did not know that, so I just learned that. They refused reunification with their children. In the current litigation, it's just hard to imagine refusing reunification with your children. I mean, I've had a hard life. I had to send my children to live with their father on more than one occasion because of extraneous factors, but I never refused reunification. As a matter of fact, I had to seek out the kids to get them back a couple of times. That blows my mind. This is a new thing to this situation. So these children were separated by their parents, and possibly on purpose. Maybe the parents think the kids made it to America, and so now they're going to have a better life. That it is what it is, because over in Mexico they have a view of us. Same thing with Cuba; they have a view of us. But to swing back to the original topic, yes, your ignorance is your own responsibility in this day and age. Now, people, it is not my responsibility to go to your door and knock on your door and say, hey, I'm taking a poll here and I need to know, do you understand what is meant when someone is talking about coyotes in reference to human trafficking across the American border? If you don't know, and it's a presidential debate, even if you hate the man, possibly you should go research the phrase and figure it out before popping off and making yourself look like a complete moron on Twitter. And that is the point of this. And so now I'm going to stop talking. It's like 7:49 in the morning for me. Maybe I'm going to go back to bed with the safe knowledge that there are no coyotes in my bedroom.